Welcome, sir.
Not the same
Oh,
voice.
sorry,
He's
sorry.
gruff. He's gruff.
Welcome, sir. Please, enjoy your night.
Who's that? Welcome, sir. Please enjoy your night.
The
Doorman gives his customary
You're
greeting,
Batman the whole
and
time.
I casually nod while stepping past. Here I am, a detective on a risky job, shuffling into a speakeasy with a cake and a paper bag, like some kid holding onto a school lunch. Not my finest moment. This place is packed, full, just like last night, which means I can't really pick Meyer out easily. I guess if I hang around the bar long enough, maybe he'll show up.
Oh, it's Mr. Jack.
A coarse voice, different from Myers, growls out behind me. I turn to see one of the rough-looking men I noticed last night, staring at me suspiciously. So I do the voice.
Yes. I'm gonna pat. Oh, me, you.
Okay, fine.
Sorry. You can do it.
I don't know. Riggedy piggedy. Make sure you are healed. Understand?
Oh my god.
What? No one did this to me last night. What's the big idea? Would you just shut up? I'm not here to answer questions. Before I have a chance to protest further. He grabs. Oh, that's me. Okay. Before I have a chance to protest further, he grabs me and starts patting my pockets, roughly feeling around. Sorry, buddy. I'm gonna be taking this for tonight. The man pulls out the piece I've been carrying as insurance just in case things went south. Well, now I feel even more like a defenseless kid. Great! Just get a pair of these dumb moves, and you'll be fine. We like to keep things real cordial right here, got it? Yeah, I got it. Good.
What do you sound like?
I'm gonna lose my voice. Then we'll be heading to the back room. Whatever you... Wait, the back room? Wait, where are you taking me? Wait! The man suddenly grabs my wrist, pulling me along the speak's perimeter. My heart starts to pound in my chest. What am I getting dragged into? I told the officers not to get close to the place unless I was gone for a while, but who knows what'll happen in the meantime? My semi-copter takes me to the back of the parlor and down a long, dark corridor. The music and laughter fade slowly to the distance, replaced by only the sound of our footsteps. Oh God. Finally, we reach a large black door, and the man knocks firmly on it several times.
Come in.
Really?
Okay, that's the
this
voice.
is a different guy, so...
Come in.
No, okay, fine. That's it. It's gotta separate the voices.
You're the same. I know, literally.
The door opens into a warmly lit, spacious parlor. Not exactly the scary, dank room I've been expecting.
Dick.
And there, in the middle of a lush couch, sits a familiar tall man.
Missouri, it's been your friends.
Wait, which? I don't know who's who! Okay, Myers back.
Yes, I can see that. Thank you for bringing him in. Make sure no one intrudes on us if you be so kind. Yes, sir.
Yes, yeah.
That's you.
With a polite nod, the other man departs, closing the door behind him with a soft click. Once he's gone, Meyer and I stare at each other for a few seconds in silence. I can only think that this dramatic reintroduction was deliberate. He knows I can read the subtext. Well, I brought your cake. I lift the bag in my hand and shake it a little, laughing nervously.
I knew I could count on you.
A pleased smile slowly spreads over his lips, and the sight makes me relax a little. Your hiccups are ruining it! He pats the couch beside him, and I don't exactly feel like I'm in a position to refuse. I approach and tentatively lower myself down, sinking into the soft cushions.
Why? You're stiff as a sheet of glass. I'm sorry. What's wrong, Jack? He's ripping it.
Your secretary back there wasn't exactly the most gentle of fellas.
I apologize. They're used to dealing with coarse individuals than yourself, you see, and I forgot to tell them to use kid gloves.
It's not that. I just wasn't quite expecting all of this.
All of this? you mean a nice back room and a speakeasy?
Meyer gives me a faux innocent look. Right, that's obviously what I was referring to. Anyway, here, your prize. I hope it didn't get smushed when your lackey was jostling me around. I offer Meyer the bag with the cake, and his eyes light up when he takes it from my hands.
Wonderful! I can smell it already. Oh,
Come on!
These schleck, du essen, bright. My rabbi used to say, but I can pretend doesn't apply to cakes.
He gazes longingly at the bag for a moment, then sets it to one side. A smile finds its way onto my lips before I even realize it. The way he likes sweets so much really reminds me of Leslie.
Oh, before I forget, I have to leave for you, Jock.
Meyer leans around the edge of the sofa, grunting softly before straightening back up with a bottle in hand. It's full of golden liquid, but I don't recognize the label.
You wanted something a little sweeter, right?
You remembered.
I have an excellent memory, especially when it comes to people who catch my interest.
He takes a glass from the table beside him and starts to pour me a drink, humming softly. I notice that he's already got a half empty of coffee himself, black as the night. The dark night.
Shush.
Okay.
This is Slivovis, sweetened with honey. I've never sampled it myself, but one of my men swears by it. I prefer to take my sweets in something of a different fashion, though.
Meyer hands me the glass, letting his fingers brush against mine for a moment longer than necessary. Thanks. You're, quite the host.
You expected anything less?
He turns a little bit on the sofa, propping one elbow against the back so he can gaze at me head on. Feeling slightly embarrassed under his stare, I take a curious sip of the drink. Damn, it goes down so easy. Good enough that I can see why you're not serving it out there.
A man has to make a living, unfortunately. Buying and transporting high-quality goods is expensive, not to mention risky. I'd much prefer to serve good liquor over the common swill, but it's not quite feasible yet.
He pauses for a thoughtful moment, though his eyes flick back to my face soon after.
Well, about that information I owe you, assuming you're still interested in work.
As I nurse my drink, Meyer begins to describe the main mafia figures in the city, along with the various rackets they keep, in great detail. Combined with everything else I've seen tonight, I think it confirms my suspicions. He's near the top of the underworld food chain in Cleveland. He's not even trying to hide it. In fact, I think he's just playing a game with me, seeing how far we can take this before one of us has to state the obvious. Knowing that, you would think it'd be incredibly uncomfortable right now. But, for whatever reason, being around Meyer puts me completely at ease. Maybe it's his disarming, casual mannerisms, or the soft and smooth way he speaks. There's nothing aggressive or thug-like about him. He's perfectly composed. Occasionally, he shifts on the sofa beside me, brushing my leg with his own, in a way that can't possibly be an accident. I can't tell what's going on behind us, twinkling green eyes, but there's something playfully devious about the glances he keeps giving me.
And I think that would make our trade just about even, no?
He finishes his thorough description with an impish wink, taking a sip of his coffee. You sure are familiar with all the gang activity here, aren't you? If I didn't know better, I'd almost think you controlled some of it yourself.
Me? Why, I'm not sure what she will lead to such an outrageous conclusion.
Instead of looking offended, though, Meyer presses in a little closer, his smirk suddenly growing mischievous.
After all, it's rather rash to assume things about people you don't particularly know well. Don't you agree, Richter? Oh, shit.
How do you... He smugly lifts the cake bag, rustling it before my face.
Your name is on the label for
Ah.
a mistake I wouldn't expect from you, if you'll pardon my rudeness. Were you distracted at the time you purchased it?
I'm not about to mention how I was daydreaming about him when I bought the cake. I think I'd rather just let my professional pride take the fall.
Of course, I know you're a detective too, and I can guess why you're here. But please, don't take it as a blow to your acting skills. I'm just well acquainted with a number of professional liars, you see.
If you already know so much about me, why are you pouring me drinks rather than having me shot and dumped in the alley? Meyer clicks his tongue, lightly wagging a finger at me.
It's like that, isn't it?
I like to do my own thing, so. Okay. Violence is not how I prefer to do business, Richter. It's only ever a temporary solution. Violence.
Your own way, huh?
Against violence. Which is why you have. Whoa.
What?
That's why you have wearing Italian crime or warring.
I know.
Warring?
Which is why you have warring Italian crime families rather than one constant. Can you for real?
Powerful body. Okay.
No, in most circumstances, I would much rather make friends than enemies, friends like you, which is why you're not being dumped in an alley. Although, I would have never harmed a Shayna Puman. Do Puman.
Poonim.
Like you, no matter what.
Okay. He shifts on the sofa again, this time letting his legs stay resting against my own. I swallow, relieved at Meyer's explanation, but acutely aware of his face being a mere few inches to my right. You certainly aren't like any other guy I've met, law-abiding or otherwise. Why don't you tell me more about what it's like being in this risky business? I clumsily attempt to slide the conversation in another direction, daring to glance over at Meyer.
No, please. I know a one-sided argument when I see one.
Agreement.
With the gloating air of someone who's just caught their opponent cheating, Meyer shakes his head.
I'll answer a few questions of yours, but only on the condition I can ask questions on my own. I swear on my honor to answer with the truth, and you'll do the same, but we can avoid one question in exchange for a favor. Does that strike you as fair?
His tone casually rises up at the end, not so subtly daring me to accept. I think I'd be an idiot to expect a businessman like yourself to play fair. But alright, I'll bite.
That's what I like to hear.
Meyer gives me a rakish, teasing grin, all too pleased with my reply.
As a gesture of goodwill, I'll even let you start.
Really? How do you make any money with that kind of generosity?
Well, you'd be surprised.
As Meyer chuckles to himself, I pause and ponder on just what to ask. What do I most want to know about? Tell me about your background, your history. What was it like for you growing up? My question seems to catch Meyer off guard. But his surprise quickly shifts into a gentle, pleased expression, and he nods in acknowledgement.
I was raised in a cozy little Jewish community in Missouri, where I lived until a few years ago.
Sorry.
I'm sure you'll find this hard to believe, but I always kept to myself as a boy. I rarely spoke to anyone. I suppose you could say I was afraid of rejection. Our rabbi was my closest friend. We ate corned beef sandwiches and talked about baseball on the weekends. Looking back now, I think he was just as lonely as I.
He chuckles softly, gaze flicking down to the coffee table and lingering on his cup. I can't imagine Meyer ever being withdrawn. I guess he didn't develop his charisma until later.
Several days after my bar mitzvah, a few boys who I'd never seen before approached me on the street. Maya, they said, you're a tall, strong guy. Why the hell are you playing with the rabbi instead of making money? I realized I didn't have much of an answer. We formed a merry little crew. It was enjoyable to have that kind of attention from my peers, and my desire to fit in was why I began doing jobs with them. Eventually, my name garnered a certain reputation. The association grew. People started looking up to me, and somehow I ended up on top of it all.
Meyer's eyes returned to me.
God.
I can't really read the true emotion behind him. Nostalgia, regret, or satisfaction. The rabbi, you know whatever happened to him?
We don't speak anymore.
He gives me one of those brief, thin-lipped smiles, the kind you only show to be polite. Again, it's hard to see through what it means, but I can detect a little longing in his voice. You know, I'd always separate mobsters from real people in my head, like you were all just monsters who'd lost your humanity. But listening to you talk, I guess it makes me realize how we're not so different after all. I twirl my glass between my fingers, unsure if that knowledge makes me more happy or grim. Meyer studies me in silence for a little while. It's not an awkward silence, though. Just a thoughtful one. Well, your turn. For a question. You have one?
Oh, I have many.
When the silence finally breaks, Meyer gives me a wry grin, his eyes momentarily flicking down to his mouth.
Your mouth.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Alright, what's your greatest fear?
My greatest fear? He nods, watching me expectantly. No immediate answer pops into my head, so I mull over the question for a moment. My greatest fear. Something that would keep me from sleeping at night. Hurting innocent people.
Oh.
I nod, forcing a brief, awkward smile as I take another sip of my drink.
What are you, a dog?
Meyer doesn't add anything further, though. Is he waiting for me to elaborate? I just think it's my duty, the duty of everyone in law enforcement to make sure Americans are safe and happy. That's why we exist. It's not just a job you do for money. It's a job that lets you go home feeling better about the world, even if it's just for a little bit. Meyer tilts his head a little to one side, eyes glimmering at me. Then, his hand slips onto my shoulder, resting there gently for a few seconds before squeezing it.
Very honorable, Richard. Sorry. Although, I'd have to wonder just where Vostok's fit into that.
He trails off curiously. Is he trying to lead me somewhere with that vague comments?
Well, it's your turn, isn't it? Why don't you ask me something lighthearted? I don't mind if you get more personal.
He leans in a little more, hands still lingering on my shoulder.
Oh, it's gay. Crazy.
I can smell his light cologne and the subtle, earthy scent of coffee. I've been trying desperately to keep my nerves under control. But it's getting harder and harder the more my Jesus into my personal space.
Wait! Ask a lover!
Do you have a lover? A wife? You must, right? Being the cat's meow and
No.
Maya responds casually, offering a little shrug when I shoot a glance over at him.
I'm like sweating.
Is it my imagination? Is it getting hot in here? Or does he look incredibly smug right now?
Why are you wearing that expression? Are you so very surprised? Or maybe you're relieved.
No, just surprise is all. I really didn't think you'd still be a bachelor.
And why is that? Because I'm the cat's meow.
Can we just get on with the next question? Pausing, Meyer makes a show of tapping a finger against his bottom lip, turning his eyes towards the ceiling. It's such an obvious display that I know for a fact he's already got his question picked out, and he's just toying with me. I drain the last of my glass in an attempt to act casual, turning my head away slightly.
I've got one. What memory do you have of your first kiss? Please describe it in great detail.
I nearly choked on my drink. So this is what he was planning all along.
I'm listening very attentively.
Hold on, Damn it. I know this is what he wants me to say, but it'll be a cold day in hell before I tell this guy I've never properly kissed anyone before! Can I just trade the favor? Don't fake surprise, you bastard!
In that case, I suppose I'll take you on that favor right now. Kiss me, you fool. Watch him say that.
I reflexively squeeze my eyes shut, sucking in a breath. It feels like my chest is going to explode.
Kiss Richter. What are you doing?
I reopen one eye to see Myers staring at me quizzically. I thought No, of course he wouldn't. He's too much of a gentleman. Just a little dizzy from the drink. So, what'd you want from me for the favor?
Well, you'll probably think me a fool for saying this, but...
Reaching for the bag at his right, Meyer lifts it up and sighs happily, slipping his hand inside to unwrap the cake.
I'd like you to share it with me.
Share? The cake? He nods, pulling back the paper wrapping to reveal the delicious-looking, spongy white dessert.
I'd feel guilty enjoying it by myself, especially considering you brought it for me. So I would prefer we savor it together. Does that sound agreeable?
Ha! I haven't had a thing since lunch, so you're asking the right guy. Should we just cut it in half or what?
No. You're going to feed me.
God! Bouncing around.
I blink at Meyer. Unsure if I heard him correctly, he gazes back at me calmly. I definitely didn't mishear that, did I?
Should I go get a fork?
If you want, then should I go get a fork or...
That won't be
Shut the hell up! That won't be necessary. Come, take a bite.
Meyer offers the cake to me, along with the daring raise of his brow. I feel like I just walked right into a trap. But I knew that from the beginning, didn't I? And I came here all the same because I wanted it to happen.
Why do you keep looking down?
I know.
It's in thought! I take a small bite of the cake, letting the fluffy sweetness rest on my tongue. Then,
Getting hot in here.
Meyer gently curls a finger under my chin, gradually closing the distance between us. His chest presses against mine, pinning me to the back of the sofa.
There's no need to be bitch.
His breath, those words against my cheek, pulling my jaw down ever so slightly to burn my lips.
We did it, people!
Slowly, delicately, he covers my mouth with his own. The sweet flavor mingles between our tongues, but my head feels so foggy that I can barely think about how it
It's so
tastes.
hot in here.
Meyer teases me with maddeningly light, soft kisses, pulling back a little bit each time as I start to press forward. He's really trying to provoke me, isn't he?
Like so freaked out.
Well, it's working!
Dot dot dot.
I bite down hard on his lower lip,
Alrighty. Yay.
exhaling a hot, impatient
God.
momentarily.
Oh my God.
His chest
really
presses
hot.
harder against mine.
Woo.
His kisses suddenly go more aggressive, hard and deep.
Stop.
So intense that I have to gasp for air whenever I can. I pull his coat off his shoulders. He's grasping needly at his shirt, letting my hands
Oh my God.
wander all over his powerful body.
Becca, you got a powerful buddy.
Just as his tongue starts to slip.
It's warm.
It is.
He pulls back, this time breaking out a devilish grin.
I can't. If I all right. If I'd known you'd be so eager, I would have done this a lot sooner.
Called you a hoe.
Are we gonna spend the whole night talking, or share more of that cake?
I can't disappoint my favorite detective now, can I? It would be horrible if you clapped me in shackles and brought me in for interrogation after all.
My gosh. You sound pretty excited about that idea, actually.
And can you blame me?
Meyer swipes a finger through the cake's icing, then presses it past my lips. I without hesitation, laughing, this sweetness off his fingertip. A faint. I'm drooling. Oh, I just spit. No. Okay. A faint moan leaking from my throat before I
my
can
God.
contain it.
Richter? Look at the top! Oh my God!
Meyer suddenly.
I feel bad.
He's mine, alright? He's my character. I'm doing the character. Meyer suddenly leans in for another kiss, trailing his finger along my bottom lip. We're gonna turn on the fan.
It's really hot.
It's getting hot.
It's really hot.
It's getting hot.
This time, he's the impatient one. His tongue pressing and insistently against my lips until I part them. It greedily swirls inside my mouth, tangling with my own tongue as Meyer presses me roughly against the couch.
Ooh, calm down.
It's like he can't get enough of me, and I can't get enough of him. I grasp his hips, and I keep him pulled forward, wanting more and more.
Take it home, Jesus. Take it home.
As we trade eager, wet kisses. My mind hazily wanders towards a certain question. What am I really doing here? Am I trying to live out some detective seduced by mobster fantasy? Or is it like Meyer said? Are we just two men outside of our opposite professions, savoring each other's company?
How long is looking up swapping spit
If
like
Leslie could see me right now, I don't know what he'd think, or if he'd even find it excusable.
Use a hoe.
But if I'm so easily turned away from my duties by a gangster,
Oh God.
maybe I was never cut out for this line of work to begin with.
Alright, good. Close
One of Meyer's hands drifts down my chest, slipping around my waist to squeeze my head.
mind doubly when I do this on a first date, especially since I like to give you a reason to come back.
He heatedly murmurs a string of words in between breathless kisses, not giving me a moment to reply.
But does it feel like you'll need too much convincing?
His fingertips
Oh!
tease along my inner thigh, sending shivers down through me from head to toe.
Alright.
Just a little bit higher, a little higher. A frantic knock at the door
Cock block.
makes both of us jerk apart. Meyer smooths back his hair and clothes, sitting back and clearing his throat.
Come in.
The door instantly flies open, and one of Meyer's men bolts inside. Mr. Eastman! Mr. Eastman, there's a bunch of cops sniffing around there outside the joint. I think something's about to go down. If we don't stop him there. Wait! Those are my guys. Safety precaution. I jump up from the sofa, inwardly kicking myself. Damn it. I should have told him to go home earlier. I lost track of time. And shit. There's no excuse.
It's alright, Richter. That's you, buddy.
Oh! Meyer's gentle voice calls to me reassuringly.
Go put your men at ease. Maybe, by some grand stroke of fate, you'll end up here again tomorrow, and we can resume our time.
I'm afraid. He puts on one of his wickedly innocent smiles, winking at me. Thanks. I hope I can see you soon. Meyer, get off your phone.
I'm so sorry. You doubtlessly will.
With a hasty nod, I turn and follow the other man to the door, smoothing back my own ruffled hair. Lucky for me, those officers probably aren't being paid enough to ask many questions.
Oh, I'm Richter.
He calls out to me just as I'm about to cross the threshold, and I glance back at him.
Don't forget what your real duty is, Good night.
Meyer's man shuffles me along to the exit before I have a chance to reply. My real duty? What the hell does he mean by that? Maybe it doesn't mean anything, but those words stick in the back of my mind. Even as I leave the speakeasy to reassure the officers I'm alright and defuse the situation. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to see Meyer tomorrow, and I'll ask him then. My heart's still pounding from the end of our talk. When I finally get home and roll into bed, there's no way I can fall asleep. So I spend the night restlessly, tossing, turning. I'd rather be hungover than this. Jesus. Infatuation doesn't fade away half as easy.